All right, good morning. Hey, welcome to Monday Mobility in honor of the Couples Championship and Eric and Paula, my long course duo, coming fourth yesterday in the Couples Championship, the inaugural Waterfall Bank Couples Championship. I'm wearing my TTL shirt. So everybody did great. It was a really, really big event. I will post some stuff on my Facebook page so that you can get the link and see a nice recap of the race yesterday. But it was a sprint try for the couples. The top athletes in triathlon came together in Florida, and it was an invitational for this first inaugural one, and it was super fun. So TTL, Eric and Polly did a great job. Tim and Rennie, you guys, I just love you. You did a great job. Everybody's kind of stuck in Ironman mode, 70.3 mode. Justin and Jeannie, same. Emma and Jared, always proud. Jared's training for an Ironman, so yeah, he went out there and attempted the sprint distance. And Andre and Rachel, what can I say? You guys are just keep getting better every single day. So I'm so excited for everybody at all different levels. But to recap really quick, Erin Royale and Non-Stanford took the win. Kirsten Casper and Matt Sharp came second. And third place went to, it's the French couple, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not going to be able to remember their exact name, but they were freaking amazing, very, very fast. So before we get started, I really want to talk about, we're getting to that point in the season where people's racing and training is starting to come up. The VO2 max efforts, the race pace efforts, the sweet spot efforts, they're starting to show up more and more in our training, and it's going to show up in our bodies, whether it's our hips, through really seeking out more power on the bike. And we feel like we need to soak up the last little bit of the off-season training. And so we push ourselves maybe beyond tissue tolerance. And so it's really important to understand your body and recognize what's happening. No amount of mobility, no amount of stress, strength training will offset you stepping over that line. And what you really need to recognize is, when do you step over that line? What do you do about it? And so I've got my Theragun. I'm not going to turn it on because it's one of the old ones and it's really loud. So I'm just going to show you, if you're starting to feel, and so I have 4 different percussion guns, so I'm not partial to any one of them. For me, they all serve a specific purpose. So when I'm working big muscles and I'm pre-training and I want to bring my nervous system up, or I want to just prepare the tissue to go and train, I will use my Theragun. And that's just me. There's a little bit of science between about how it enhances your nervous system when it's engaged at a high level. And then I sometimes will use my Lumix percussion tool when I'm just relaxing and I'm trying to get down and I'm trying to activate more of the parasympathetic nervous system. So if I was getting a little bit of foot pain and maybe a little bit of, oh my God, I'm getting plantar fasciitis, what I would do is with my percussion gun is work down the midline and through the belly of the calf muscle. I'd work right below the calf muscle and see if I could get a little bit of stimulus through that soleus, and I'm trying to bring blood flow into the tissue, right? And then I might work even further up that back line and work through the belly of the hamstrings and see if I could get some separation between the lateral and the medial hamstrings, so right up the middle. And then I would work that Theragun right in through the glute and through that ischial tuberosity where the hamstrings actually attach. I might even take that big Theragun and work it through my traps. And then I would have my massage therapist work, or just work on some of your own tissue release all the way up to the base of your skull. Okay, so if you're starting to feel that little bit of plantar, you want to work through the calves, the soleus. That's going to help unload the lower leg. We're going to help work through the hamstring in case they're the tightness that are starting to work through the lower leg. And we're going to take it from there. Also, so that's how we use the percussion gun. I also really advocate the stick because you can control the tissue intensity. So I would start using the stick. And I like this one because it has these little rolly things on it. So I'd work through the belly of the muscle, and I'd start doing that more often. After training, before training, and maybe first thing in the morning. I'd also start using my roll recovery, R3, and the R3 is going to start giving me that ability to specifically hit the tissue in the plantar fascia, in that first toe, that flexor hallucis longus, that big toe. I talk about the big toe a lot. So you just want to make sure that on a scale of 1 to 10, your tissue tools are not really exceeding a 6 or a 7. And we'll talk about that in another episode. But let's get going on Mobility Monday. So let's start first by just checking in on that low back. And we're just going to hold nice and strong. We're going right into that dead bug position. Knees are facing straight up to the sky. Feet are in that strong position. Engage pubic bone to belly button and press your low back into the floor. Let's go hands up nice and strong. And keep that low level engagement that holds your pelvis in that nice neutral position. So this is called the dead bug position. You should feel a strong engagement through your belly. So hold that nice and strong. Pull your big toes back towards your shins. From right here, we're just going to extend the right leg out and back. Left leg out and back. Hold that low back into the ground. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, good. So the title of my first book, even though I haven't written it yet, is called Endurance Athletes Don't Need More Exercise. Deacon wants to say good morning. Maybe you're getting my little boxer in the shot. He'll pass on through. Good. All right. So another part of shock absorption and mobility in the lower body is having strong adductors. So everybody flip over onto your stomach. And from right here, I want you to tuck your big toes under. Spread your heels apart. Put your knees together. This is your anchored position. From right there, I'm going to keep my face looking at you, but I want you to put your forehead on the ground. Forehead on the ground, chin off the ground. Okay, that's the length we want to find in your C-spine, your cervical spine. 2 hands, you might take a quick peek here. 2 hands way over your head, elbows off the ground, shoulders off the ground. Okay, so from right there, forehead, knees together. I'll talk you through it. Ready? This is a prone decompression position. From right this position, toes together, heels apart, knees together. Toes together, heels apart, knees together. Set your anchor really strong in the lower body. And from right there, I want you to pull your belly button off the ground. Forehead is on the ground, chin is off the ground, knees together, arms extended. Keeping your belly button off the ground, I want you to go ahead and give me 5 big breaths, okay? Right here, I'm going to join you. Fingertips on the ground, nice and strong. Knees together, toes together. Belly button off the ground. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Learning to decompress as you breathe. So decompression breathing, we're keeping the belly button off the ground. Give me 2 more big breaths from that prone position. Inhale deep through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Give me 2 more big breaths from that prone position. Good. All right, let's go ahead and get up into a full kneeling position. So 2 knees on the ground. Good job. 2 knees on the ground. Tuck your big toes under. That's going to give you that little stretch on that big toe, that flexor hallucis longus. Okay? So if you're watching my Instagram today, somebody was watching one of the Mobility Mondays that I did in San Francisco, and he was like, it's my favorite one because you really focus on the big toe, but little does he know, I focus on the big toe all the time. Okay, so feet outside the knees. That's going to put us into internal rotation. Break your hips to the back just a little bit. And from right there, we're just going to go into this long wing position from foundation training. And go ahead and scoop your hands to the front. Keep your elbows down. Pull your chin back. Chest up. Open up your clavicles. Pull your belly button into your spine nice and strong. And we're just going to use breath to decompress. You should feel a very low level contraction through your butt, through your hamstrings, and then come up a little bit more. Reach your fingertips further from your tailbone. Keep those elbows low. Keep going. We're just working our breathing. That same position that we worked from the dead bug, the same position that we worked from prone decompression breathing. You're pulling the belly button in and you're creating space between your ribs and your hips. Lift your ribs off of your hips. Now relax your shoulders down onto that. See if you can take a big breath into your back. Make your back bigger. Breathe 360 degrees into that rib cage. And come right back out of that. Good job. All right, next thing we're going to work on is hip rotation. Okay, so we've got the pelvis sitting in a nice neutral position. Refer to this episode again and again if you need to reset your pelvis. If you start feeling that big anterior tilt in your pelvis, if you start feeling your hamstrings are tight. Okay, so the feet are nice and wide. 2 hands behind you. We're just going to drop the right knee to the midline of the body. And we want a long hip. So right here, what does a short hip look like? This looks like a short hip when my knee is across the midline. So we want to be nice and long there. Extend through that hip and maybe even start bringing it across. But we'll add that in just a second. So we're just going to do some nice knee drops. Drop, 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 and drop, and drop. You might even feel a little stretch and a little tension through your shoulders if you've been swimming. That's going to show you need to just keep doing your mobility. Just tension is good, light tension. Just going to start giving us more and more space. Okay, let's add the reach. Let's everybody meet me here. Left knee into the midline, left arm all the way across, big reach. And I can feel that through my whole back and back. You control the intensity of the reach. Drop that right knee in, reach the arm way across. Glide that rib cage. And the other side, big reach. So want your shoulder blade way across. And come back. You can see the wrinkles on my shirt. That'll show you the fascia underneath my skin that's really starting to stretch and open up. Good. See if you can get your chest even lower to the ground. Get that chest even lower. Sit into that lead hip. And we're staying on the fingertips because we want to keep a little bit of tension. We don't want to relax into this position. We want to hold that ribs. Hold the elbow off the ground. Keep the shoulder off the ground. Fingertips strong on the ground. And come on back. Let's go one more time. Getting a little bit of that through my SI joint now. As you start reaching through your lats. You start to realize that your lats come down and they attach to this big fascia called your thoracolumbar fascia, your thoracic and your lumbar, where they come together. And then they go down and they actually connect down into the sacrum, which can greatly influence the mobility of the SI joint. So let's take that right knee, drop it down, laying all the way on the ground now. 2 hands overhead, long through your rib cage, and take that all the way across. And if you want to open up that hip even more, do it. Opening the hip means bringing it away from the midline. So right there, my knee is on the midline. and I just walk it away a little more tension into that front side of the hip, long through my rib cage, long through the side body, and then just rotate across. And now you start to realize the psoas muscle, I can feel, I mean, I can't feel it, it's quite medial, it's quite inferior, right next to the spine, but I sure can feel my abdominal muscles. And take it again, other side. If you breathe into that, you're going to expand the rib cage, and you're going to end up even adding more tension into that fascia. And good. All right. Going to give credit where credit is due. We've got 2 leaders on that, 2 mentors. We've got Dr. Eric Goodman with the foundation training and the strength and the tension in the fascia. And we've got Dr. Lawrence Van Langen on that beautiful hip motion and how it interconnects with the psoas muscle. All right, let's take it into good old half kneeling position right here. 2 hands overhead, and we're just going to knee drive. 2. We're going to use the fingertips to elevate the rib cage. 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do 6 today. 6 was my basketball number in high school for Dr. J. Tuck your back toe under if you can. Half kneeling position, 2 hands overhead, and just hip drive. 2, 3, 4, 5, one more, and 6, and good. All right, let's go ahead and take that leg out to 230 or 1030. Right leg would be 230. We don't want to go all the way to 9. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay, so from right here, we're going to take this arm. Let's see, we're going adductor stretch. Oh, that's tight enough for me. Let's just do 6 of those. Hands on hips. So before we add the thoracic spine into the hips, we're going to go ahead and just hit the hips 6 times. 1, 2, see if we can get a little more motion here. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm kind of assuming you're like me. You're an endurance athlete, or you're active on the weekends. And then we come out of it on Mondays, and we want to have a good training session tomorrow. 1, 6 reps. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. Now, we're going to go ahead and rotate away from that lead leg. So let's go right leg at 230. We want to open this hip up, give length here. That's going to help us get into more internal rotation in a very strong way. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go load it, and then we're going to reach away. And you're immediately, through your fingertips, able to feel how that chest, how that thoracic spine interacts with the pelvis and the adductors. Let's hit the other side there. Take a big breath. Create space between the ribs and the hips. Load the adductor. And then go ahead and reach away. Good. Let's hit each side one more time. Load that adductor. Reach up and away. For me, a little bit tighter on the right than the left. Nothing that I'm worried about, but just something to pay attention to. Load the left adductor. Right leg up. If you can, with this offhand, start to push away the skin. And you'll start to feel how the skin interacts with the fascia and with the muscle. All interconnected. Skin plays a role. Load it. Reach up. Push the skin away from the midline. Good. And then go ahead and take to the other side one more time. Tip away. Reach up. Skin. And good. Okay, want to work a little bit through the lower leg again. And I think that sometimes we end up with more hip action when our lower leg becomes dehydrated and a little bit less functional than usual. So I'm going to use the mobile board. I've got 2 of them. I'm going to use a mobile board, but you can use a balance board. Another good friend of mine, Jay Deshari from Anatomy for Runners. This is a beautiful tool. You can use the code ECFIT10. If you want to buy one, go to mobileboard.com. It's a really, really good tool. You're going to see them in most of the videos that I create for most of my athletes. Everybody's got a mobile board. Okay, we're going to keep the heel on the ground and the foot on the mobile board just to give us a little bit of dorsiflexion. Hands on hips. We're going to turn into that leg. So right here, my toes are nicely spread out. My heel's on the ground, hands on hips. We're going to rotate into that lead leg, and we're going to push into the midline, and then just go ahead and gently load the lower leg. And if this doesn't look familiar, then you haven't seen yourself running lately. Good. And all we're doing here is more of a dynamic motion. It's a dynamic stretch for the fascial line that wraps the body. We call that line the spiral line. So nice big hips. Rotate across the lead leg. Softness. Hopefully your toes are nicely spread out. We're just going to do little squats. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start to raise that head up. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's do one more each side. And everybody, I want you to focus on head position. Foot is on the mobile board or your balance board, or you can put it up on a 10-pound plate. You can build your own. There's all kinds of ways to rock this, right? Create space, use your breath. Chin is going to stay tall this time. Rotate across, gentle little squat. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is mobility. 5. Would I load this really heavy? Absolutely not. 8, 9, 10. But would I load it with my body weight? Absolutely. Okay, nice foot up, heel up, killer posture, rotate across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Head up tall. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And good. So that's using a little bit of that dorsiflex position with the lower leg and starting to recognize that the lower leg has this wrap of fascia that needs to be stretched. So just simply putting your foot up on a step and dropping your heel, it'll stretch some tissue, but is this the tissue that really needs it? That's my question, right? So let's go ahead and go into a nice archer. We'll finish with this, again, from foundation training. The nice thing about being a generalist, a strength coach like myself, you can learn from so many different people and put their theory where they're an expert and bring it into practice and use those tools for all of your athletes. So right there, nice long stride, working the big toe in the back, working the big toe in the front, nice planted. This knee should be strong to the midline. And we're just gonna peek over the cliff a little bit and just gently rotate into that lead leg. So my nose, if I had a plumb line on it, would be about 8 inches in front of my big toe. 6, 7, and if you've been having some hip pain, I think Sandra, I want you to just gently start working through this motion this week to help those hips come up and meet all the strength work that you've been giving it. We got to give our body a chance to recover from the work, you guys, okay? Left leg in front, strong into that big toe, strong into the midline with the knee. Hands on the hips, tip at the hip, and just drop into it. 2, 3. The other beautiful thing about fascia and the nervous system and the muscular system and the skeletal system and how it all works together is there's this beautiful rhythm and timing. And that was one thing I took from the interview after the couples championship from Non-Stanford. And I think if you've ever been a runner or a cyclist and you have found your rhythm, and that was one thing that Non said. She goes, I didn't really know how it would come out, but I knew if I could find my rhythm. And so when we start talking about performance, running, hiking, skiing, whenever you see that beautiful flow that an athlete can find, we know that they have found their rhythm. And so training like this and using these sessions to help your nervous system, to help your fascial system be able to find its rhythm. So happy Monday. Keep working hard. Stay strong. If you need any direction or anything from me, just leave a comment. Maybe connect with me on social media at ECFIT Strength. And let's keep making more and more friends. Share this with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little bell so that you're notified when I put out a new video. There's going to be more stuff coming as we go into the spring and summer. Peace out. Aloha. And we'll see you soon.